buildings or pursue passive house certification in multifamily projects with 5 units or more. The incentive design is shown here on the slide. It includes pre-construction incentives for feasibility studies and energy modeling, and post-construction incentives ranging up to $60,000 for full passive house certification. Next one, Paul. The all-electric incentive is for both single-family and multifamily buildings, offers 2 levels of eligibility with specific design and performance requirements associated for each, as you can see on the slide, and has incentive amounts ranging from $1,500 a unit for multifamily up to $10,000 for single-family homes. Our goal ultimately is for everyone involved in the construction of residential buildings in the state of Connecticut to be aware of these incentives. So if you're interested in learning more, please visit the website or contact us at the number on the slide. So for questions during today's session, you can use the Q&A feature, Zoom Q&A feature, to communicate questions to us. We will be taking questions at the end, or holding off until addressing questions at the end, but feel free to put them in the Q&A throughout the session. And a reminder that today's course is approved for AIA CEUs. So with that, I'll introduce today's speaker. Paul Raymer is a senior advisor at ICF with over 40 years of experience in building science and ventilation. Paul has worked on EPA's Indoor AirPlus program, authored the Residential Ventilation Handbook, holds multiple Building Performance Institute certifications, is a career member of ASHRAE, and a retired HERS rater. So with that, Paul, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you, Keegan. Thank you, Kate. Appreciate all the work you guys are doing down there in Connecticut, in Green CT. I'm going to tell you about a bunch of stuff, and there's a lot of slides here. I just want to start out by saying that health, like love, is a fact of life. We can't design love into our homes and buildings, but we can certainly make them healthier. The EPA's Indoor Air Plus program seeks to do that. It is much simpler to benchmark energy consumption than health, but if occupants of buildings are healthier, they're more productive, there's less absenteeism, and they think more clearly. Energy efficient buildings must go hand in hand with healthier buildings, like peanut butter and jelly. Indoor Air Plus was created, was created as an add-on to the Energy Star for Homes program. It is certainly not the only way to create healthy homes, but it is a solid roadmap to healthy home success. This session will provide an overview of IAP, cover some of the results of unhealthy homes, touch on the market for healthier homes, and touch on implementation strategies and tools and resources to help make that happen. Health, as I'm sure you know, is a complex subject.
Paul, I think you went on mute by accident.
Got it. How's that?
There we go. Perfect.
All right. Yeah. And now my slides are not changing. Indoor Air Plus has been around for over 10 years. Although Energy Star for Homes was focused on energy improvements, many steps in the road for making homes more energy efficient also improve the air quality and the health of the building and the occupants. IAP added the icing on the cake. By 2018, IAP had gone through 4 significant updates and revisions. Many requirements were already a part of the Energy Star for Homes program, and IAP added some additional requirements. Version 1, Revision 4 is still active, and a complete overhaul resulting in the creation of Version 2 was released last year in the fall of 2024. Version 2 became available for use in the fall and began the phase out of version 1. January of 2026 will be the full implementation of version 2. During the period of comment review, the team in the Indoor Environments Division discussed whether this certification system could be applied to existing homes. EPA is still exploring how best to incentivize IAQ upgrades in existing homes. But for now, Indoor AirPlus will continue to include scope just for new site-built or modular buildings and gut rehabs. What's new is a tiered specification with gold tier that continues to incorporate Energy Star certification and many other requirements previously proposed for IAP version 2, while also including a base certification tier that EPA hopes will encourage more activity with entry-level builders and affordable housing. As always happens with detail-oriented programs like IAP, as the program develops, pages get added and the checklist gets longer. A great deal of thought and hours of discussion and debate went into every aspect of the development. It is a common phrase in building science that a house is a system, and the IAP program is also a system. It is important to move through all the elements to make sure the system works. We've all recognized for energy efficiency, air leakage is a critical factor, so we're tightening up buildings. But when you trap all the air in the house, the process of making it more energy efficient, you also trap all the pollutants, and all those pollutants have different impacts on the health of the occupants. Not only have we tightened up the houses for energy efficiency, we have also been doing it to gain control of where the air is coming in and where it's leaking out. You want to smell the roses and not the garbage. We didn't anticipate the onslaught of COVID and being trapped inside our homes, and we haven't paid enough attention to indoor air or indoor environmental quality. But we're now acknowledging that we're spending at least 90%, close to 100% of our time in our houses. Now, I'm not fond of air fresheners because they often contain lots of toxic chemicals like benzene, xylene, naphthalene, phenols, and formaldehyde. The toxic chemicals released by air fresheners, particularly those with pine, orange, and lemon scents, are known as volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. These are well-proven toxins, many of which have been linked to a range of diseases and conditions when being inhaled, even in low concentrations, over a long period of time. The global market for these air freshener products is surging from 17.4 billion this year to 28.72 billion in 2035. But the smells don't get to the root or the cause of the problem. Air fresheners just mask it. When we put IAP together, we wanted to get action levels for all these contaminants into the program. But unfortunately, most of the levels are for outdoor thresholds. Part of the problem is that people have different reactions to these contaminants. What might be critical to one person might have no effect on another. And the pollutants are not simple static things. They keep changing and are different in different parts of the house. Ideally, you could survey a house and look for all these things: arsenic, carbon monoxide, formaldehyde or HCHO, NOx, ozone, PCBs, and particularly PM 2.5 and radon. There are numerous health impacts that can be caused by excess moisture or moisture in the wrong places. Excess moisture is associated with an increased rate of respiratory disease. Most seriously, mold can trigger asthma attacks in sensitive individuals. They can also adversely affect immune system function. Note that mold needs liquid moisture to grow, but it doesn't need much. There are three main health problems related to moisture and mold: asthma, infections, and allergies. Symptoms for these health problems include coughs, wheezing, shortness of breath, asthma attacks, irritation, and itching. But the house shouldn't be too dry either. Ideally, we want to keep the house between 40 and 60% RH. That's the kind of range they keep the Mona Lisa's environment in, and she's been doing all right for a couple of 100 years. But the concepts behind humidifiers and dehumidifiers are not well understood by occupants, and they have to be maintained and controlled. There are also numerous health impacts from environmental tobacco smoke known as ETS. Cleaning reduces the exposure to this contaminant. Most people should be very familiar with health problems related to what happens if they do smoke, but may not know as much about second or third hand smoke. Secondhand smoke occurs when someone uses and exhales tobacco products, such as cigarettes, cigars, or pipes, and the smoke is then inhaled involuntarily by others. Third-hand smoke is nicotine residue that remains on surfaces, including walls, doors, draperies, carpets, clothes, furniture, flooring material, and acoustic tiles and ceilings. This pollutant can also be inhaled when it is re-emitted through dust in the air, and it can react with substances in the environment to create secondary pollutants on surfaces. Tobacco smoke contains more than 7,000 chemicals, including hundreds that are toxic and about 70 that can cause cancer. Since 1964, it is estimated that 2.5 million deaths are attributed in the US to health problems caused by exposure to secondhand smoke. In the US, secondhand smoke causes approximately 3,000 lung cancer deaths annually among non-smokers. Now, note that putting one of those air fresheners in the house of a smoker will definitely not cure the problem. It will just cover up the smell. These are the health impacts from asthma and allergy triggers. Note that there is a difference between asthma symptoms and the development of asthma. Having asthma symptoms means an attack has been triggered and the individual is coughing, wheezing, or having shortness of breath. Developing asthma means a doctor has diagnosed an individual as having asthma. There's strong evidence that indoor mold can contribute to asthma development. The 2009 World Health Organization guidelines for indoor air quality on dampness and mold says that there is sufficient evidence of an association between dampness and mold and asthma development. And that doesn't mean it is accurate to say that mold causes asthma development, simply that evidence shows it can contribute to asthma development. Pests are more than unwelcome guests. Pests impact health. Dust mites, cockroaches, and mice are all potent asthma triggers. Pests also spread infectious diseases. Both cockroaches and rodents can carry dozens of infectious bacteria, viruses, and even fungi. Mice are a reservoir for and can vector salmonella. Deer mice can vector hantavirus, and hantavirus initially causes flu-like symptoms and abdominal problems. And late symptoms include coughing and shortness of breath as the lungs fill with fluid. There is a mortality rate of 38% from the virus. Remember, all these pests require moisture to survive, so sealing up a house for energy efficiency and reducing moisture infiltration will also influence the prevalence of pests. The COVID pandemic hammered home the fact that the quality of the air we breathe has a direct impact on our health. Consumers are looking for healthier homes now more than ever before. According to the Global Wellness Institute, most of our health outcomes are a result of external environmental factors. The wellness real estate market is forecast to reach $1.1 trillion by 2029. If this classroom relies on air circulation to keep the students healthy, it's not productive to pile things in front of the air handler intake vent. We all have growing concerns about wellness and environmental quality in our homes. Trapped indoors, consumers are increasingly aware of the moisture, mold, radon, and PFAS chemicals that we are sharing the space with. Consumers want to be assured that the houses we are buying are more than just a pretty space. Home buyers are looking for homes that have improved ventilation, filtration systems, HVAC systems, and non-toxic building materials. And these are all things that are included in the EPA's Indoor Air Plus program. Consumers are willing to pay more for those features, as much as 10 to 25%. And according to the National Association of Home Builders, the wellness real estate market doubled between 2017 and 2020, and that was before the pandemic struck. The growth is significantly outpacing overall construction growth with an annual 18.1% growth rate. Consumers are definitely aware of the issue, and it's not going to be solved with just air fresheners. So how does the Indoor Air Plus version 2 fit into this picture? There are 7 sections of the program that all add together to make the program work. Moisture control, radon control, pest control, HVAC systems, combustion pollutant control, non-toxic building materials, and home commissioning or owner education. The first section of Indoor Air Plus is moisture. Wet basements and crawl spaces can be breeding grounds for mold, bacteria, insects, and other pests. Prolonged moisture accumulation and dampness can lead to structural problems like wood rot and can be associated with respiratory illness and asthma symptoms. As mentioned previously, moisture is connected to a number of IEQ issues, including mold, pests, building disintegration, and toxic substances. Air sealing a building for energy efficiency also serves to moisture seal. The fundamentals of the site, foundation, and damp proofing are all effectively covered by the Energy Star requirements, and IAP adds some drain and sump pump requirements. Indoor Air Plus qualified homes are built to reduce moisture issues by directing water away from the home and minimizing excessive humidity. In many climates, sump pumps and gutters further protect the home by redirecting water away from the foundation. IAP does not require the installation of a sump pump, but if one is installed, it must discharge to daylight at least 10 feet outside the foundation or into an approved sewer system. Sump pumps remove ground moisture around the home and prevent dampness and mitigate bulk water events. Water is redirected away from the home to storm drains and dry wells. The moisture control section of the IAP version 2 program is divided up into 17 different sections, covering site and foundation drainage, bulk water prevention, capillary breaks, flashing and water managed roofs, and interior moisture management. In buildings with a basement or a crawl space, a floor drain or moisture monitoring system must be installed in the lowest floor area. Sump pump covers must be mechanically attached with a full gasket seal. And it's the little details like this that make the IAP program work so well. Each step in the verification checklist must be completed by the builder or the rater. Among other things, care in construction must be taken to prevent soil gas from drawing in radon. The 2021 International Residential Code requires 10 mil under slabs, but rather than dictating a thickness, the version 2 IAP spec references ASTM E145 and Class A or B vapor retarders. Chances are you'll be 10 mil or higher with Class A or B, but the thickness matters less than the properties and the installation details. IAP requires ceiling, crawl space, and basement perimeter walls to prevent outside air infiltration. Insulate crawl space and basement perimeter walls according to the prescriptive values determined by local code at minimum, or R5, whichever is greater. Provide conditioned air at a rate of not less than 1 CFM per 50 square feet of horizontal floor area. And this can be achieved by a dedicated supply or through crawl space exhaust. However, if radon resistant features are required, do not use the crawl space exhaust method. There are some exceptions in the specifications to make them more flexible to unique situations. While providing active heating and cooling or dehumidification is still required for all crawl spaces, EPA has added an exception for spaces that are unfinished and or not occupiable, which are located in the basements of multifamily buildings. An example might be a bike storage room, for instance, but this exception is only applicable to multifamily buildings. 1 and 2 family and townhouse buildings must provide heating, cooling, or dehumidification for the entire basement. In the past, EPA has left items in the specifications, knowing that they're also in our building codes. The intention was to include important practices with the intention that they would be rater verified. While reviewing public comments, we heard concerns about the frequency of inspections for Section 1. In developing version 2, EPA cross-referenced moisture control items in the International Suite of Codes. Not surprisingly, several moisture spec items align with code requirements as far back as the 2009 Suite of Codes. About a dozen, in fact. So in version 2, these are allowed to be verified by the builder. Items 1.5, 1.6, and 1.7 are designated as builder responsibility on the checklist and do not require intervention or verification. These include damp and waterproofing below-grade exterior walls, drainage planes and flashing, and exterior window and door openings. IAP requires effective gutters and downspouts and protections for flash damages. These sections are also designated as builder responsibility. Flashing and treatment of valleys are issues that are included in most codes. IAP includes them as reminders in the verification checklist. Gutters protect the home's roofs, walls, foundations, and landscape by rerouting water and debris away. The gutters collect the water from large roof areas and guide it via the downspouts and surface grading away from the foundation, reducing the pressure on the foundation walls. IAP program is primarily concerned with conditions inside the house, but keeping the water out is the first step. But inevitably, some moisture is tracked in or spilled. So IAP requires the installation of water-resistant hard surface flooring in kitchens, bathrooms, entries, and laundry areas and utility rooms. Note that wood flooring, either pre-finished or site-finished, can be utilized in these areas as long as any composite wood materials or site-applied finish complies with the items 6.1 and 6.2. Section 2 of the specification concerns radon. And radon is a naturally occurring gas that originates from rocks below the soil. High levels of radon can be found in every state in the country, but some areas have greater prevalence than others due to local geology. Radon can enter homes through cracks or openings in the foundation. If a home is not properly sealed and ventilated, radon can build up in the home's interior air and increase the residents' chances of developing lung cancer. Radon is really bad for your health, and it's pervasive and unpredictable. There's no safe level of radon, so it's reasonable to make as much of an effort to keep radon out as it is to keep the moisture out. Note that radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer after smoking. The amount of information on the county level varies across the country. For example, in Fairfield County, Connecticut, with a population of 957,000, there were only 1,574 reported radon tests. However, as shown here, there are 929 homes reporting radon levels exceeding 4 picocuries per liter, showing that over 59% of the homes tested have elevated radon levels. And such levels are possible no matter what EPA radon zone you're in, which is why the EPA is maintaining a nationwide testing requirement. In version 2, in radon zone 1, an active or passive radon mitigation system with testing must be included. In radon zone 2, an active or passive radon system must be included, or testing must be done upon completion. And in radon zone 3, the occupants must be provided with the EPA's basic radon facts in the owner's information kit. But no matter where you live, testing for radon is easy and it's inexpensive. Many factors can influence the rate and change of radon throughout the day and year. Some factors include depressurization from wind effects, thermal bypasses like sealing air leaks and penetrations, stack effects, the height of the home and the temperature differentials between the inside and outside, vented appliances without a dedicated outside air source, and frozen or wet soils. I continuously monitor the radon level in my own house, and it's remarkable to me how the radon level fluctuates. A short-term radon test is only a momentary snapshot, and since there's no safe radon level, I'm a proponent of including a radon pipe in every new construction project, just like the plumbing stack pipe. It sure is easier to do during construction. As a side note, the radon level in my study this morning was at 3.5 picocuries per liter, so it's approaching that 4 level. Radon can have a devastating effect on children. Children have smaller lungs and therefore higher breathing rates. Children spend at least as much time indoors as adults, and radon-related lung cancer is correlated with a person's total lifelong exposure. According to the EPA, a nationwide survey estimated that 1 in 5 schools has at least one classroom with a radon level that exceeds the recommended level of 4 picocuries per liter or higher. With new construction, a simple passive pipe exiting out through the roof is as simple to install as a plumbing stack. The warmth of the house will cause enough air to rise through the pipe to pull the radon gas out of the building. It doesn't require an aggressive airflow, and by adding a receptacle outside the pressure boundary of the house, a booster fan can be added later if necessary. The American Association of Radon Scientists and Technologists, or ARST, has clear directions for locating and configuring radon mitigation systems from individual homes to large foundations for multifamily buildings. The IAP radon mitigation guidance is based on the ARST rules. So section 3 of the specification deals with pests. Birds, rodents, Bats and insects can carry bacteria, viruses, parasites, fungi, and allergens that can affect the health of residents. If they get into homes, attics, basements, or ducts, pests can cause considerable property damage. If pests enter a home's HVAC system, allergens and contaminants can be quickly dispersed throughout the home. Just like keeping the water out and the radon out, keeping the pests out is beneficial for indoor air quality and the health of the occupants. Floor drains in multifamily trash rooms are required in the gold tier, but it is just an advisory in the certified tier. While an integrated pest management plan is required for multifamily buildings, EPA believes the ability to wash down a trash room is a good idea, especially because we all know that this can quickly become this. Section 4 of the specifications deals with HVAC systems. Air and dust in homes can contain allergens that can affect the health of your family. Moisture that remains in your home after cooking and bathing can lead to mold growth. Pollen, mold, pet dander, and pest drawings can trigger allergic reactions. Indoor AirPlus qualified homes can provide a more comfortable living environment because they include properly engineered HVAC system sizing, improved duct and equipment installation, improved filtration, and whole house and spot ventilation to dilute and remove indoor pollutants. In version 2, the certified tier no longer has the Energy Star requirements to build from, but to achieve good indoor air quality, we still need to retain some of those requirements. The APA manuals provide a pathway from concept and design through the duct layouts and termination fitting selections. Indoor AirPlus requires a careful planning of the HVAC system, beginning with the use of APA Manual S. Conditioning equipment has a major impact on the air quality and the comfort of the occupants. Cooling systems are a critical component in the moisture level in the house. An oversized system can short cycle, not running long enough to remove the moisture and creating cold and clammy conditions. One of the problems with leaky ducts is that the leaks create unpredictable pressure changes on the house. This problem is greatly reduced in the gold tier since all the ductwork must be included inside the pressure boundary. But in any case, leaks in the ductwork can mean that the required amount of air will not flow to the places that it's designed to flow to. Not locating air handlers and ducts in garages limits all the harmful pollutants sequestered in the garage from being drawn into the ducting and distributed throughout the house. Building cavities cannot be guaranteed to be tight enough for the flow of either supply or return air. Sealed ductwork within a cavity is acceptable. One of the biggest changes in IAP version 2 is the requirement in the gold tier for a balanced ventilation system. Although it can be done other ways, the most typical approach to balanced ventilation is through the use of a heat or energy recovery ventilator, an HRV or an ERV. Mechanical ventilation is a critical component in tight buildings. Unbalanced ventilation, such as exhaust or supply-driven ventilation, puts the building under negative or positive pressure by definition. Whether the house is occupied or unoccupied, the materials and objects in it are changing as they age. The whole dwelling ventilation system is designed to gently and continuously remove those potential pollutants from the home. The ventilation system for either certified or gold homes must meet the requirements of ASHRAE 62.2 2019. Meeting the gold certification level requires the use of balanced ventilation systems, which is most simply satisfied through the use of an HRV or ERV. but the system must provide air directly to the dwelling unit from the outdoors, and measured supply and exhaust flows must be within 20% or 10 CFM. Homes equipped with an HRV or ERV, whole dwelling ventilation system, exchange the air while retaining some of the heat. Stale air going out and fresh air coming in are drawn to the exchanger, where the heat from the warmer airstream is passed to the cooler airstream by means of the large surface area of the exchanger core. The two airstreams never touch or mix. Equal amounts of fresh and stale air are passed through the exchanger. Ideally, the system will operate through its own duct system and operate continuously, or it may be controlled by a timer that cycles the system on and off throughout the day. Now, these fans use very little energy and are extremely quiet and are an important part of ensuring the best air quality in the home. In the early days of central air systems, filters were installed just to protect the equipment. Filtration these days serves to help to clean the air circulating through the house. But although higher MERV levels have greater filtration impact, they also have greater resistance on airflow. And that resistance must be included in the pressure handling capabilities of the air handler. And it is critical that all heating, cooling, and ventilation components, including filters, be regularly maintained. The average life expectancy of a heat pump is typically between 10 and 15 years. With proper maintenance, however, that longevity can be extended to 20 or 25 years. It's worth a little maintenance, not only for the expense of the system, but for the health of the occupants. Section 5 of the specifications deals with combustion pollutants. Fuel burning heating systems, cook stoves, and other appliances, as well as vehicles found in garages, generate combustion pollutants that contaminate the indoor air. A particularly dangerous combustion pollutant is carbon monoxide, an odorless, tasteless gas that causes headaches and fatigue and can be fatal at high levels. Ongoing research shows that combustion pollutants are related to many negative health effects, including cardiovascular and respiratory diseases. Combustion pollutants generated by fuel burning appliances must be vented to the outside. Atmospherically vented furnaces, boilers, or water heaters installed in a confined space or an airtight building require fresh air supply or openings to provide combustion air in the combustion appliance zone or CAZ. High efficiency sealed combustion appliances duct the air from the outside directly to the appliance and vent the combustion exhaust directly back to the outside. These appliances do not require extra fresh air openings. In IAP version 2, no unvented combustion appliances other than cooktops, ranges, or ovens are permitted within the building's pressure boundary, with some exceptions. In the interest of the best air quality in buildings, prohibiting combustion appliances within the pressure boundary is preferred. However, to not limit the reach of the program, IAP version 2 does allow combustion furnaces, boilers, and water heaters to be located within the building's pressure boundary if they are mechanically drafted or direct vetted for the gold tier and pressure tested in the certified tier. Solid fuel burning fireplaces and appliances are allowed in version 2 with a number of provisions for pollution safety. Site-built masonry fireplaces designed for open fireplaces must be sealed to make them unusable. Factory-built wood-burning fireplaces must have a dedicated outside air supply. Pellet stoves must meet the requirements of ASTM E1509 and the emission requirements of the EPA's new source performance standards for new residential wood heaters. Many jurisdictions now mandate CO alarms. It is best not to combine CO and smoke detection alarms since they're such widely different events, but it's not an IAP requirement. And note that UL 2034 alarms are just that, alarms. They are not CO detectors in that they are not permitted to respond to low-level CO events. IAP advises that in homes with young children, expectant parents, older adults, and persons with medical conditions who may be more vulnerable to low-level CO alarms, levels below the UL 2034 thresholds are recommended. And if the pressure in the home is lower than the pressure in an attached garage, pollutants in the garage will be drawn into the house through any cracks or holes in the demising wall. Exhaust ventilation or leaks in HVAC ducting can also cause that unbalanced condition to occur. So section 6 of the specifications deals with various building materials. Volatile organic compounds such as formaldehyde are found in building products like composite woods, paints and varnishes, flooring and adhesives. They're also found in consumer level products like cosmetics, cleaning products, and air fresheners. VOCs can cause eye, nose, and throat irritation, headaches, and or after extended exposure, cancer and organ damage. Asbestos is a mineral fiber that occurs in rock and soil, and because of its fiber strength and heat resistance, asbestos has been used in a variety of building construction materials for insulation and as a fire retardant. Also, asbestos has been used in a wide range of manufactured goods, mostly in building materials like roofing shingles, ceiling and floor tiles, paper products, and asbestos cement products. Note that most uses of asbestos are not banned. Asbestos fibers may be released into the air by the disturbance of the asbestos-containing materials during product use, demolition work, building or home maintenance, repair, or remodeling. In general, exposure may occur only when asbestos-containing material is disturbed or damaged in some way to release the particles and fibers into the air. I've mentioned carbon monoxide before. It's colorless and odorless and has about the same molecular weight as air. It is nothing like smoke that you can see and smell. So CO and smoke alarms really should not be combined in the same device. If your CO alarm goes off, leave the building. Do not take the batteries out or wave a dish towel at it. CO can come from anything that burns. Formaldehyde is a strong smelling, colorless gas that you may be familiar with from dissecting a frog in biology class. It's used in making building materials and many household products. It's used in pressed wood products such as particle board, plywood, and fiberboard, glues and adhesives, permanent press fabrics, paper product coatings, and certain insulation material. It's also a byproduct of combustion and certain other natural processes. Nitrogen dioxide is a gaseous air pollutant composed of nitrogen and oxygen and is one of a group of related gases called nitrogen oxides or NOx. NO2 forms when fossil fuels such as coal, oil, gas, or diesel are burned at high temperatures. NO2 and other nitrogen oxides in the outdoor air contribute to particle pollution and to the chemical reactions that cause ozone. Fine particulate matter, as PM 2.5 is referred to by health agencies and pollution experts, possesses one attribute that makes them particularly dangerous. These particulates and whatever microscopic toxins they might be carrying with them can't just penetrate the lungs. They're also small enough to pass directly into the bloodstreams. I put one of these nifty Breathe PM 2.5 monitors out by my kitchen, and it convinced my wife to use the range hood when she's cooking. When you can see the problem, you can do something about it. In reality, these particles are really small. Blowing them up this way provides some perspective and makes them look huge, like space rocks. See how small that SARS virus is? VOCs, or volatile organic compounds, measuring TVOCs are interesting, but not necessarily useful. Some paints are listed as having less or SVOC, semi-volatile organic compounds that release their VOCs more slowly. Particle counters are available to measure VOCs. The late gastronome James Beard exulted, "There is no smell in the world of food to equal the perfume of baking bread." But part of that perfume is ethanol, a natural alcohol given off as yeast metabolizes bread sugars during the fermentation that makes dough rise. When the temperature of baking bread reaches 174 degrees, the ethanol, a volatile organic compound, is released into the air. From the Wonder Bread factory in Natick to Mrs. Baird's bakeries in Fort Worth, Texas, large bakers across the country are required to install catalytic oxidizers, 18,000-pound pickup truck sized emission control devices for their ovens.
Hey, Paul,
Recognizing the
just a
negative effects of
Paul,
chemicals in building products, manufacturers and manufacturing groups have developed testing protocols to limit the chemicals and promote good product qualities to consumers and designers. Indoor Air Plus provides guidance for building materials, from interior paints and finishes to carpets to gypsum and insulation.
Paul, just a quick time check. We got about 10 minutes to one.
Got it. Thanks. IAP version 2 checklist and details have been aligned to the Energy Star certified homes checklist and require alignment with CDPH standard method emissions limit verification. Many manufacturers have stepped up to manufacturing products with less volatile emissions, and it's worth looking for the health of the occupants looking for these certifications. Particle board, MDF, and plywood used in cabinetry are all certified. The Kitchen Cabinet Manufacturers Association is a voluntary nonprofit trade association representing North American cabinet manufacturers and suppliers to the industry. Green Seal Standards establishes requirements for paints and coatings. GreenWise Gold products have been tested and certified. And finally, Section 7 of the specifications considers occupant education. And when all is said and done, the building is finished and new occupants are moving in, it becomes their responsibility to maintain and operate the systems so that the building continues to be a healthy place to live. They don't know how to do that. If they don't know how to do that, the systems and living conditions will degrade. Builders are required to provide information to occupants, building and homeowners, or property managers, including instruction manuals. Many of the implementation steps I've already mentioned as we've been going through this. Indoor Air Plus does a detailed job of explaining the implementation of each step in the procedure, and verifiers and HERS raters are trained to be sure that requirements have been met. We talked about gutters and downspouts and roof water drainage. Radon control, you must label the pipes so the craftsmen are aware of their purpose. Don't use them for plumbing. Powered radon mitigation systems must be located outside the pressure boundary of the house. And Indoor Air Plus includes details such as using copper and stainless steel to fill gaps that critters might gnaw through. There are multiple benefits in keeping the pests out. Ants in a sunny sliding door sill, moisture that the ants need condenses on the glass. keeping the moisture out solves multiple problems that affect indoor air quality. And keeping the ductwork within the conditioned space improves thermal performance and eliminates inadvertent pressure impacts. All right. So then their EPA, Indoor Air Plus and the EPA have a wide array of supporting materials to facilitate joining the program and promoting efforts of the participants, including all the support material just makes common sense. Not that everyone reads everything in an owner's manual, at least it's available if they need it. And the fact that the home has achieved Indoor Air Plus certification certainly provides it with more marketing value. Skipping through these, and as I've said at the beginning of this presentation, health is like love. Everyone wants it, but I have to say that a healthy home is the simpler activity of the two. And now that's the end.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. And great work getting through, yeah, a lot of really quality material there in a short amount of time. The question, so we can take questions. The one question in there now is, will folks get a copy of this presentation, and we will make a copy of this available afterwards. Another person's asking for links to the various resources and documents that you mentioned, Paul, in the presentation. So if you have any resources that you want to send out links to, we can do that through the chat function here. So yeah, if we while we wait to see if any other questions come in. I know you skipped through a couple of the last slides there. I didn't know if you wanted to maybe touch on anything additional since we have a few minutes and we can see if other questions come in.
No, I think the stuff that I skipped over is basically just looking for the labeling to find the right materials.
Yep.
And there's a lot of programs now that that will help with that process. And you know, the guys that I've talked to at Kansas State about radon measuring, these little guys are not laboratory certified, but they do give you an idea of the radon levels going up and down. I mean, if you have a level of 11.78, you better do something about your house.
One question here asking about, where would local health departments and building officials go for training on on these topics?
Excellent question. BPI has a Healthy Home Evaluator program. So a lot of the materials that are in there would be helpful to health departments. I mean, most of the building inspectors I know, they already have too many things that they're looking for. So it really needs somebody sort of specialized to look for that. But I would go there. I mean, there's a lot of things online from various government programs that are available still had a lot of material out there. I don't know how much of it is still out there.
Yeah. And I'll ask the question, Paul, with all the uncertainty sort of in our current regulatory environment around EPA and Energy Star, is there any indications of changes coming to the Indoor Air Plus program, or are we have some level of confidence that that program will continue, or
Well,
too tough to say?
as a month or so ago, I
Yeah.
checked with one of the guys that I worked with on the program, and he's still working on Indoor Air Plus, and he says that so far there is enthusiasm to keep it going. And he's very, very enthusiastic for getting training and stuff for builders.
Great. Well, we're at 12:58, so I'll do a last call for questions. Is there a checklist for renovations, specifically for building renovations?
Just for gut rehabs. It's part of the program is gut rehabs.
Okay. All right.
Those
Well,
checklists, by the way, are available online at the AirPlus version 2 website.
is that through the Energy Star website, or is it
It's through the EPA.
through the EPA? Got it. Okay. All right. Well, yeah, with that, Paul, I think we can conclude and again express our gratitude for you presenting today and sharing your expertise. If we get any questions into our inboxes afterward, we'll be sure to forward those along to you. Thanks again to the sponsors of Connecticut for hosting, sponsoring, and presenting today's session. And Kate, if you want to say any closing words on behalf of Build Green CT.
Yeah, thanks again everybody for coming, and thanks to Paul for that presentation. Super informative. And thank you, Keegan, for hosting this. Again, those links are still in the chat to our organization, Build Green CT. We attract a lot of building professionals, sustainability people, anybody involved in sustainable and green building in Connecticut and just in New England overall. We're a remote organization, so we're pretty easily accessible for a lot of people. And again, our next tour is in Bridgeport at the Bullard Havens Technical School next Thursday. So be sure to grab your tickets if you haven't already. You can learn more about our program there or about our organization there and, meet some people in the field. So that's always a good opportunity. I think we have a
Yep.
raised hand actually.
Uh, yeah, if you want to, if there's a
Oh, it disappeared.
question. Okay, great. Great. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for attending. Thanks again, Paul. Thanks, Kate, and we'll see everybody next time.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks for listening fast.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.